the clip of the ending of their last match, and it was literally within seconds. So here we go. Let's see how this starts off here. It looks like they're both starting at the Sanctuary, and hook shot right off the bat. Wow.
That is quite an important progression item for much later down the line. You see a lot of runners these days start in-house, but we have both players starting in Sanctuary instead.
Yeah, that is a kind of a weird change. And the divergence continues. They're both spreading off in different directions. TaterShaman probably going to go run the Houlihan room, while Sailor Jade looks like probably going to do a lumberjack check.
I did have the opportunity to talk to Tater just before this match, and he did say that he was going to go right to the Houlihan room. Loves that early infusion of cash, especially when you have Zora, Bottle Vendor, and just generally things to spend money on early on.
Yeah, you can't exactly count on money getting dropped early, so you want to make sure you get that as much money as you can for all those different things. Definitely build up to that. Let's see what's in the lumberjack cave right off the bat. This should be interesting, and we've got just a piece of heart up there. So boots, and Agassiz may not be as required yet, but we'll see how that changes.
And with the poultry and the crab not really dropping any bombs or money, we have nothing on Sailor Jade's side besides that hook shot.
Indeed, TaterShaman checking over at Link's house and Gollum getting another piece of heart for his trouble. So right off the bat, and let's see what the forest gives us. Man, love everywhere this siege. Piece of heart over there in the mushroom spot. I'll have to see what the drop-down cave gives us.
Later on in the race, these runners might want to avoid picking up quarter pieces of hearts, but early on, it's definitely good to get some safety so that you can fight those bosses with low resources.
Yeah, only a 5 rupee in the drop there. That's wow. This seed's holding its items back on this one.
TaterShaman on the right here, picking up these bushes. There's 2 bushes here that have 50-50 shots to drop bombs, neither of them being generous for him today. But it looks like he's going to give it another shot by resetting them by going a little bit into the grove.
Yeah, he wants to make sure he's prepped up. You need at least a few bombs to get all the stuff in Kakariko Village. And now he's got the money for it, but I guess he's trying to save as much of that money as he can for Zora later on.
So he does get the 1 bomb drop. He's got the option of going into the bombable hut in Kakariko to actually get more of those bombs, but the 1 for now should be good enough.
Indeed, and he's going to check the race game heart container there. Meanwhile, Sailor Jade checking out Blind's hut. Quite a few good items usually here, but let's see. We got Red Rupee, Power Glove. That's so bad. And just another Red Rupee.
So unfortunately, no bombs to check the back of the house, but we do have a sword, it looked like, in the library, so players will be coming back here once they have boots.
Yeah, that's definitely a pretty good chance for that. You want to get that if it's easy to get to, you want to get those sword upgrades because you want to have an easier time with those bosses later on down the road.
And with the mirror, players will definitely be back in Kakariko at some point.
Indeed. Now checking out the well cave. Bomb upgrade, 20 more rupees. And a piece of heart. Wow, the items are very elusive, this one. This is going to be interesting to see when we finally start getting some good progressive items.
Still no bombs for Sailor Jade as TaterShaman starts to farm bombs in the bombable hut, trying to get up to max bombs to set himself up for the rest of this intro part.
Meanwhile, Sailor Jade gonna just save herself the trouble, or save themselves the trouble and buy some bombs over from the shop down there. So that's going to make her job a little easier.
It's tough getting so close to 100 rupees and having to drop 50 of them on bombs, but it is definitely the right call here.
Indeed. Now they're spreading off different directions. TaterShaman checking the chicken shack. 20 rupees from the tavern. So again, not too many items here.
Got to make sure to throw those chickens. Got to be careful you don't soft lock, but always important to throw those chickens.
Definitely. And the chicken shack also not giving up anything, so we're going to be seeing a lot of late game items, it looks like, on this one.
The glove and the hookshot don't do a lot on their own, but when combined with something like the lamp, they could really start moving around.
Indeed, yeah, they're definitely going to want to do have a fire source. They want to check stuff like Desert Palace later on. Sailor Jade, Moon Pearl from the bottle vendor.
So that bottle vendor definitely worth going to. Hopefully Sailor Jade can get those last 19 rupees here.
Yep, there's the 20.
Actually, definitely will be able to with the back of the Thief's Hut anyway, but picking up that 20 right there will make the routing a little bit easier.
Indeed. So now Sailor Jade going to probably pick up their moon pearl here in a little bit after they check the back of Blind's hut. Hopefully that'll have something good because they need all the help they can get right now with the way this seed's trolling them.
So this is just about the end of the intro sequence in Kakariko. After this, we expect players to head to either eastern area and see what's in Shurhasala's hut, and possibly Eastern Palace itself, or down south near Lake Hylia. There's 6 or 7 chests over there, more if you do fake flippers. So we should still have a lot of more items before players really start to diverge.
Indeed. And because they have the power of Gildan bombs, they can also check the back of Escape, which could also yield some items as well. So there's definitely that possibility as they get along here in this early overworld search.
Now with the Moon Pearl, they do have the option of using fake flippers to get a couple of extra items in the Wishing Well Ferry. But with the rupee count being not quite at 500 for either of our runners, I'm not too sure we'll see that happen.
No, probably not. Sailor Jade not even going to check what's at the race game, just going to go ahead and run it, but, won't be too disappointed. Again, they need that early health this early into the game because, a lot of monsters can take a lot of health quickly, so you want to make sure you come prepared.
Tater raising those 5 rupees right above his head. 326. Big difference between 321.
Definitely. Every penny counts. You know how it is.
So we get Jade finally open up that chest in Link's house. Going down south, it looks like.
That looks that way. Probably going to check the dam because there's at least a couple of items there. And then, of course, Mini Moldorm Cave. Very often a treasure trove of items. And the way things are looking, I wouldn't be surprised if we see at least a couple good items out of that.
Hookshot being a fantastic weapon for the Mini Moldorm Cave. Also going to save you an entrance into the dam. So this should be a nice little time save for Sailor Jade with this hookshot.
Well, actually, she's not going to go for that quick save, so they're going to do it the normal way.
Tater's checking to see what the crab's holding today. Still just hearts.
Yeah,
as Jade floods the dam on the left, coming outside. Let's see what the dam item was holding.
Vanilla piece of heart. Is this even randomized? Looks like it's off to the Mini Moldorm Cave. And meanwhile, TaterShaman looks like making their way over to the back of Escape. Like I said before, there's at least 3 potential items in there, so we'll have to see what's hiding.
Now, without a small key in one of these chests, you'd still have to navigate the dark room, but without even the small key, you can't even get in. So we will unlikely see the 4th dark room item here.
Yep, but there is a key, so if he's confident with his dark strat... Oh, validation arrow! This run is now officially validated, ladies and gentlemen.
And he's just going to get out of there. No point in checking that last chest.
Yep, Sailor Jade finding the lamp in the Mini Moldorm Cave, so no more... And the flute! So like I said, that Mini Moldorm Cave can very often pay out, and it looks like it did today.
So this will be interesting to see if Sailor Jade does check the back of Escape to see that last item. That'll be something that Tater might have to go back to, causing a little bit of a time loss.
It's very well possible, and it looks like Sailor Jade is going to make the play on that Escape, because they're coming out of the Sanctuary now. Yep, that's where they're going. And with the lamp, they can check those dark rooms without any trouble. And this won't even be a sequence break since they have the lamp now, so that opens up a lot of potential.
Ooh, Tater just barely missing the hook shot trick on the chest. Decides to go ahead anyway and flood that dam. Is it flood or drain? There's a lot of flooding going on the inside, but a lot of draining going on the outside. It's unclear to me how dams work.
Yeah, I'm not exactly an engineer myself, so I couldn't tell you. All right, not going to check the rest of Escape is Sailor Jade. Looks like probably going to go maybe activate her flute. I don't know. Yeah, that looks like the play she's going to make.
Usually you want to activate your flute as soon as possible. It does make traveling the world much, much faster. It's very rare for another call to be correct here.
Now TaterShaman also checking out the mini boulder and cave. Got to be happy to see what he finds in there with the lamp and the flute. So that's going to make his life a lot easier. Meanwhile, Sailor Jade indeed heading to Kakariko to activate the flute. So, ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the Link to the Past Randomizer National Anthem. Get your swag ducks in chat, folks.
Oh, I was worried you were going to start singing there for a minute.
No. My fans know I don't sing very well. Now you don't want to hear my singing voice.
Tater's going to save and quit right out of here. So we have no Ice Rod Cave check yet, and we have no fake flippers to see Hobo or over to the Zora area yet. But with that flute, it's actually a little bit faster to go activate the flute and then flute back to 8. So we might still see that in the near future. Sailor Jade, meanwhile, going to go right into Escape, see what Uncle has today, and see what the rest of those items in Escape are.
Indeed, yeah, you've got at least 2 items there, and then, of course, if you go inside the castle, you've got at least 3, I think 2 or 3 more items in there as well. So plenty of places to check out here. This is why it's usually good to get these done and out of the way early, especially if they have good items. So let's see what the Uncle has, and just some love.
Full heart containers this early, though. Never unwelcome. And that one was actually the Sanctuary heart container, so we won't get that bonus health refill later in the game.
Indeed, for those who don't know, Sanctuary Heart is the first heart you normally get, and it automatically refills your health. It's the only full heart container that actually refills your health. That's how we know it's the Sank heart. So Sailor J now heading out of there, and yeah, it looks like they're gonna go inside the castle and check the bottom end of Escape.
Meanwhile, Tater gonna flute away. We're gonna see where he lands.
Going right to Death Mountain, it looks like. I think just realized, man, you know, I've got the lamp. Let's go save the old man real quick.
Glad he turned around because that is a tough one to forget. It also unlocks being able to save and quit to Death Mountain, which is the fastest way out into the world. So it really helps as far as fluting places if you're going to save and quit and immediately flute somewhere.
Plus, the old man could have an item on him. You never know. So it's always good to have that on hand. And Sailor Jade having a little struggle there. Magic Mirror and Escape. Oh, my.
And those bomb strats, those are not easy. The hook shot stunning the guards makes it a lot easier, but still you got to be patient. You got to worry about where the guard's going to get knocked back to. Those blue guards will take 2 hits. So we have 1 more green guard and 1 more blue guard, and then the chain spinner at the end here.
Indeed, and that's going to be the big one, is taking out the chain guard. But yeah, getting the magic mirror again. Now there's a big possibility for Dark World strats. It's starting to look very much like we might see an Aghanim run if we get either a couple of swords or a cape. We might be seeing an Aga run here.
Wow, and Jade with the bomb without even stunning. That is something that I certainly have never been able to pull off.
You definitely tell these runners know what they're doing here. So let's see. TaterShaman gonna be using the hook shot to check the east end of Death Mountain. Again, ton of potential items over there. I've seen that place pay out big time in a lot of runs, so it's definitely a good idea to check that when you can.
Early lamp, certainly a breadcrumb towards Aga for your first Dark World access. If either of these players manages to get the level 2 gloves or the hammer, they'll have Dark World access on their own. But Sailor Jade making the play with the pots here. 2 pots to kill this guard to give you the big key and get the last chest. She does have the option of mirroring back to the start here to get out, or saving and quitting. She remembers the mirror and mirrors out.
Yeah, but not going to check the Dark Rooms of Escape. It seems they're ignoring that one for now. Meanwhile, TaterShaman working on the other mini Moldorm cave that we have here in Death Mountain. Again, 5 potential items right here in this room alone. Didn't find anything downstairs, so let's see what we have here. Oh, we have a sword! Sword in Death Mountain, and if you get the boots later on, we'll have Master Sword, so we'll have to see how that plays out. But aside from a little love, that's all we find there so far.
TaterShaman with 1 more chest up here before he has to come back at another point to finish off stuff like Tower of Hera and Dark World Death Mountain. Meanwhile, Jade going to Shahasala's hut. Gonna see those 3 items. What's the old man hiding in the back?
Bee in a bottle, some another heart, and red potion bottle. So there we go. A couple bottles there. So sick kids now available. Also, I don't know if I didn't see a map check earlier, but apparently we had one. We've got crystals at Eastern Palace and Tower of Hera, green pendant at Desert Palace, and Eastern Palace is one of the 2 crystals that will be needed for the Fat Fairy if that becomes a potential. So that's, that'd be a good place to start looking at this point, and that's where it looks like Sailor Jade's headed. She's heading to Eastern.
Now, without the bow, Eastern will not be clearable, but a lot of runners have been making this play early Eastern without the bow. It's 2 to 3 items. It's really quick. You're in the area anyway. I think it's a great play.
Indeed, and with that magic mirror, once they find everything, if they don't find the bow in Eastern, then they can mirror out very quickly. So that will be smart. And of course, like what we always say, finding the bow in Eastern, the trolliest thing this randomizer can do is to put an item in its vanilla location. So that would be funny if we see the bow here.
And she will certainly be protected against that. TaterShaman finally dispatching the Moldorm, giving him trouble in Spiral Cave. Gonna see what this last item is. It's the Cane of Brian.
Indeed, Cane of Burna in the Spiral Cave. Never an essential item, but always helpful to have. It's you can check out Spike Cave with it and doing a few other things. So nice to have that around early on.
With the hookshot, Jade able to go south here, hookshot right across, sequence break, but another example of how this randomizer is absolutely phenomenal completely by accident. Nobody planned that, well, if you come in here with the hookshot, you'll be able to get this chest early, but that's what we have.
Yeah, but only finding the compass so far, so we still have a couple items floating around. I don't think we saw the big key yet either. I think we only got like 50 rupees in the first chest, so still at least a couple more items floating around in here. We'll have to see if the big chest hides anything, or if in fact the Armos Knights are hiding something. We'll have to see on that. Meanwhile, TaterShaman working on now checking out Escape as well, getting the stuff from Uncle. Not going to find much there.
Jade missing the pots for the invisible skeleton kill. Still manages to pick up the pots to finish them off, get through the room, and pick up the big key.
Always nice to have that before you get to the big chest, so you don't have to worry about that later on. The last thing you want to find is that the Armos Knights have the big key. And only finding the map, so that means the Armos Knights have the last item, actually will have an item, as far as I know. So
yes, they absolutely will. The compass and the big key, the compass and the map have both been picked up. However, this last item through this dark room will have a non-dungeon item, so we could get something that is progression, and this is not a sequence break.
Nope, they have the lamp, so anything here is on track. And that's always a good thing to have. Trying to navigate these dark rooms isn't that difficult, but having the lamp just makes it so much more convenient for you.
Yeah, without a sword especially, Sailor Jade still hasn't picked up her sword. So it's very difficult to navigate without a way to really tell where you are in the room.
Yeah, TaterShaman now doing the bottom end of Escape, getting his mirror, so he's probably feeling good about that right now. And what do we got here? Just another heart. Time to nope on out of there.
That is an awful lot of full heart containers for an early beginning, plus the 2 bottles. These players should both have plenty of safeties for the late game.
Yeah, hopefully they'll find some extra armors along the way that'll help them in the long run. So heading back to Kakiri, we're probably going to do a sick kid check since they've got bottles now. We'll see.
It's a pretty free check being, so close to a flute location. You might as well come in and drop it off.
But only getting 20 more rupees for their trouble entry in a ball. Killing the sick kid. Sailor Jade, what is wrong with you?
Oh, he's kind of leaving him a present.
Yeah, very explosive one at that. Now Sailor Jade heading up to Death Mountain. They're going to be rescuing the old man. Not going to find much there, but we'll never know. We've got now that they've got the mirror, they've got a couple other items. They could do Tower of Hera if they wanted to.
Definitely, that'll give it another 2 items, as well as, and they do have the fire source, so she will be able to check the basement, and it is a crystal, so you got to clear it anyway. Might as well do Tower of Hera now.
Yeah, of course they'll have to get the sword first over there in the Moldorm Cave before they move on, because without a sword, without a weapon, without either a sword or another weapon like it, like the hammer, they won't be able to clear it because you need something like that to kill off Moldorm.
Actually, Sailor Jade absolutely is allowed to kill Sick Kid, as we see in the chat. She unfortunately made the mistake of forgetting Sick Kid at some point in an earlier run, so definitely something in the front of her mind, making sure to deliver those bottles and make sure the Sick Kid does not hold out on her.
I do remember actually seeing that run. Yeah, the Sick Kid had the ice rod, so that cost Sailor Jade big time. Definitely not going to forget again. Meanwhile, TaterShaman now heading to the Ice Rod Cave. Let's see what it has to offer. And just more money.
He's getting close to that 500 mark for Zora. He might consider heading there soon at 470, only 30 rupees away. Probably a little too early to fake flip her over there now, but something definitely available in the near future.
Yeah, indeed. Now he looks like he's going to make the play on Eastern Palace. Meanwhile, Sailor Jade going to check the east end of Death Mountain. Going to be picking up their sword and other items very soon. So they're going to be happy to see what they find there.
Yeah, she passed up those 50 rupees on Spectacle Rock. Does have the mirror to be able to get it and to put her over that 500 mark. But not so important. Good chance. Oh, and blocked by the Dead Rock.
Those Dead Rocks, man. Every time I see them, they always seem to mess up one of these runners, blocking them just in the right spot to make their life miserable. Yeah, from Dead Rocks, of course, cannot be killed in any capacity, so they're never fun to deal with.
Tater's dropping bombs all over the place in Shossela's hut, picking up 2 bottles.
Yep, we saw that earlier with Jade. And, dropping bombs. What is this, a Michael Bay movie all of a sudden? It looks like TaterShaman's not going to make the play on Eastern Palace. Going to head up to Death Mountain. Probably going to be working their way up to Tower of Hera at this point.
It's always a good idea to keep in mind that when you can do a full Crystal Dungeon clear, you probably should be doing the full Crystal Dungeon clear. And that voice in the back of Tater's mind was likely telling him, you got the mirror, you can go up and do Hera now.
Yeah, and of course, Hera will have at least 2, I believe it's 3 items in Hera.
Only 2.
Only 2, my bad. Yeah, 2 items in Hera, but that's still, never know if the seed is telling you to go there. That must mean there might be a progression item in the tower, and especially with version 26 of the logic, this tends to point you towards dungeons because dungeons tend to have a lot of the items you're looking for.
Yeah, and even as you've seen in other races, even when Hera's a pendant, you'll see runners go in there because it's a relatively quick dungeon. And you see Tater picking up those 50 rupees now is over 500. We'll see when a Zora check comes, but for now we're going to go fight Moldor.
Starting off by heading on the left downstairs area. Let's see what we got hiding down there. Big key early on. That's always nice to have. Get that out of the way. That means we may not be seeing the basement run right away. It really depends on what items we find on the way up. If they find the map and compass on the way, then there's a good chance that the basement might have an item, but not likely at this point. And of course, as soon as I say that, they find the map. Timing, folks. Commentator's curse strikes again.
In the marquee matchup earlier today between Andy and Ben, we saw both runners skip the basement item in Hera because it was such a time waste, even though they both knew it was some non-dungeon item, possibly progressive item. So we'll see if these runners here take similar gambles.
Meanwhile, Sailor Jade heading over to the desert, probably going to check the ledge, $50 there, and probably make a stop over at Agnes Cave. Is that
very surprising that she didn't end up going for Tower of Hera, being so close. But I guess being stranded a bit on the east side of Death Mountain, you might as well flute away anyway.
Indeed. Now Agnes Cave. Oh, Titan's Mitts and Terra. Like I said, progression items tend to show up if the items are leading you towards a dungeon. That usually means there's an item waiting for you there. So good find there for TaterShaman.
And that's going to give us our Dark World access. Now Hammer is still making it so that Aghanim might be required, but it is far less likely at this point.
Indeed. Sailor Jade finding a shovel at Agnes Cave, going on a fetch quest, and there's the compass, so that means at this point, Troll Dorm has either a key or has the other progression. Actually, I think at this point it would most likely be the last non-dungeon item.
It actually has to be a small key. Small keys are not allowed to be key locked by themselves, so this is necessarily a small key that Moldorm is holding.
So then the question becomes whether or not TaterShaman decides to check the basement, but for now, they are on their way to Moldorm, or as we like to call him, Troll Dorm. If you've played A Link to the Past, you know why we call him that.
Yeah, his movement's so erratic, so tough to predict. A lot of runners, even the experienced runners, will still have a fall to Moldorm every now and again.
Indeed. Sailor Jade finding bombs over in the Sacred Grove, and now they're going to check the Ice Rod Cave. Not going to find much there, but Troll Dorm, not full troll yet, but could still get him if they're not careful. The other reason why Troll Dorm's a pain is if you get knocked off the ledge, it resets the fight. He's back to full health, which is especially painful if you've got him like near death and get knocked down. That just makes it that much harder for you.
Especially with the fighter sword, as you get more hits on him, he gets faster. And when it gets to the point where you need that last hit, he's going real fast. Hopefully, with the spin slashes doing double damage, we won't get to the really fast phase. But we are going to get... Oh! No, we are absolutely getting to that phase. And there goes Tater.
Tater getting knocked off by Troll Dorm. That Troll Dorm has struck again, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to have to restart that fight. Meanwhile, Sailor Jade, I think, is going to probably fake flipper. So we're going to be seeing possibly an island check and definitely Hobo at this point. Actually, scratch that. They're going straight to Zora.
Now, this walk-on water glitch, which Sailor Jade is going to do, is going to allow her to pick up 3 items, including Zora, as well as look at what the ledge item is. So really being able to clear out 4 items with nothing but the Moon Pearl. Very, very powerful at this point in the game.
Indeed, and this is considered a minor glitch. This particular tournament, no major glitches are allowed, but minor glitches are acceptable, so we will be seeing that's why they are able to do that. TaterShaman finishing off Moldorm finally. And of course, going to get that small key as we said before. Will he check the basement?
Good rule of thumb when trying to differentiate between a major glitch and a minor glitch is anything that allows you to clip through walls is generally going to be a major glitch. Ooh, Sailor Jade getting hurt there, losing the walk-on water glitch. Gonna have to hoof it the long way around now.
Yep, but being a bottle on the ledge, and TaterShaman indeed is going to check the basement. Probably a smart idea. It's right there. The only thing you have to deal with is the tile room, of course, which is always a pain. So let's see. But let's see what Zora has for us today. And piece of heart. Not quite what they were looking for.
Certainly slightly less disappointing than a little bit of love. A little bit of rupees, rather. My goodness.
Yes, that's the usual life lesson you get from there. And of course, you can't flute out, so save and quit time. And TaterShaman not going for a common glitch that you see. A lot of runners will set up the blue blocks to pop up, and if you stand on it, you can give yourself some invincibility frames. But TaterShaman going to do this the hard way instead.
I know there's more than a few runners that use this room as a bathroom break.
I've heard stories about that. Yeah, definitely. All right, let's see if this basement run pays off for him. He's already and Das Boots. What are those?
Definitely a great play to come back here. Gotta go fast. As Jade heads to the back of Escape to find out what that final item is.
Yeah, and the longer she takes to get those boots, the more of a lead TaterShaman's going to have here. Because those boots, like you said, got to go fast, and that's going to make things much easier to complete a lot of dungeons because you can just run right on through a lot of times.
So with his newly acquired Titan's Mitts, TaterShaman now able to check East Dark Death Mountain. A couple more items here. The first stop's going to be Super Bunny Cave, named as such for the Super Bunny glitch, and we have a map check. Looks like Turtle Rock is a pendant. Always scary to have to go into Turtle Rock as a pendant, but we'll see if our players can avoid it today.
Yep, and of course, Skull Woods is the red pendant, and Swamp Palace being Crystal 6, which is the other crystal you need for the Fat Fairy Cave. So that's going to make it even, a little easier for that. Swamp House, especially if you hit go mode, is always a quick dungeon to clear. But if it's Pit Crystal 6, they may clear that one early.
Jade's on her way up the mountain now, going to Tower of Hera, gonna pick up her Titan Mids and her boots as well. Hopefully, she doesn't skip that basement item.
Yeah, the last thing that Jade wants to do is miss out on another item like that. Super Bunny Cave not really paying off, but let's see what Hookshot Cave has to offer.
Chat pointing out that this is a weird seed so far with a weird set of items, but we've come to expect nothing but weird from V26.
Yep, and we are going to get a medallion check Ether needed for Turtle Rock. So if that comes down to it that they need to go to Turtle Rock, we know what medallion they're going to need to get there. So let's see what's in the Hookshot Cave as Sailor Jade now enters Tower of Hera.
With low heart, she'll have to be careful. There's a couple of opportunities for health pickups in this dungeon. We'll see if she takes any.
Meanwhile, a lot of money in the Hookshot Cave thus far. Oh, Ice Rod!
It's getting more and more scary about that pendant Turtle Rock.
It is definitely looking that way. And also Bloomerang inside the Hookshot Cave. And he's going to save and quit out. Not much else he can do at this point. Could have checked Spike Cave potentially, but looks like we're going to save that for later.
Without the hammer, he's not going to get very far in a Spike Cave.
Oh, that's a good point. Good point. I forgot about that. My bad.
So, taking a kiss from Zelda as he heads out of the Sanctuary for the third time tonight.
With the boots and the Titan's Mids, he could have checked the King's Tomb, but instead it looks like he's going to check the Bonk Cave. Named so because you need the boots to bonk those rocks to break it open. So let's see what's in here.
With the mirror, you might be better off pairing the King's Tomb with the back of the graveyard ledge. We'll see if he routes that in later or if he just heads east right now. And it looks like he's heading east, so we are going to get a King's Tomb check. Jade picking up her Titan's Mitts. Gonna hook shot across here. Gonna have to fall without the boots. You don't really have a way to get back short of a bomb jump.
Yep, and TaterShaman not checking the King's Tomb. Instead, heading over to Kakariko. Probably going to be heading into the Dark World here. So probably check either Skull Woods or Village of Outcasts.
I don't believe he checked Bottle Vendor, so he's got those two bottles. Sick Kid, rather. I don't believe he's got the Sick Kid item yet. Of course, Sick Kid holding not much. So, nothing to worry about there.
Yeah, indeed, TaterShaman heading to Skull Woods. Again, it is a pendant dungeon. He doesn't know that yet. I don't think he's checked the map yet.
He was our map check.
He was our map check. My bad. Yeah.
Jade has been very far into the Dark World other than near Spectacle Rock.
That is correct. My apologies on that. But even if it's not a pendant, even though it's a pendant dungeon, Skull Woods, couple of quick, easy items, definitely not a bad idea to route that in just to get it out of the way in case they have anything good. I don't have a little trouble there at the entrance, though.
Yeah, with boots, there's a couple of pixels you can just dash straight through, but it is very difficult to set up. Meanwhile, Jade picking up that health refill for her Moldorm fight. Moldorm starting to move a little bit faster on her. Hopefully she doesn't take a fall.
Give her a small chance to catch back up because she's been behind a little bit here. Meanwhile, nothing but keys so far for TaterShaman, so we're going to be checking a few more chests here. Hopefully they find the big key so they can check that big chest that he's passing by.
A small key in those first two chests early is good because you'll be able to skip a chest that has a guaranteed small key in it. You get to go through there. So he does get the big key. We'll see if he's able to do the bomb jump or if he's going to take the more conventional route, falling down the pit.
Definitely setting up for the bomb jump here, but having a little trouble lining it up. For those who don't know, you can't, if you set yourself up right up against the ledge, you can use a bomb to jump across that gap, but he's not having any luck with it, and he's going to exit out so he can set himself up. That way, if he dies, he doesn't go anywhere. Not a bad idea. And taking an intentional death in order to get his health back up.
Yeah, definitely the smart play. You don't want to die before exiting and entering. Any death will bring you back to where you entered in the dungeon.
But decides instead of going through all the troubles, just going to go the long way around instead. Oh, and Sailor Jade taking a fall there on Troll.
That's always tough, always tough. These custom sprites that these players are using don't have the same shadows or pixels as the typical Link sprite does, which is where everybody learns to do those bomb jumps. So they're a little bit more difficult to line up. You can't quite see, well, where is Link's head lined up because you have to relearn it with, I'm not even sure what this sprite on the right is that Tater's using.
I believe that's based on a Pokemon, if I recall correctly. And then, of course, Sailor Jade using the Dark Girl sprite, which is somewhat based on a the broadcast satellite Link to the Past spin-off that was created. Japan-only kind of game.
When Fighter Sword against these mummies, always a tough time. We'll see if he's got a better option. Can they be ice routed? Yes, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, but all that can do is just hold them off. It's harder to kill them. And of course, you always have to watch out for those ceiling masters who drop down and grab you. That always throws you off.
We'll see if Jade heads back in. She will, so she will pick up her boots and have a chance to catch back up here, going fast.
Yep, and chat confirming that yes, that the TaterShaman sprite is Decidueye, the Pokemon. So I was correct on that.
My goodness, I need to get caught up here on my Pokemon.
Trust me, I didn't. I couldn't remember the name either because it's from a later generation that I stopped. I think I stopped in the DS era.
So Tater looks like he's heading east, going to check out behind the graveyard and Bumper Cave, presumably. We'll see if those hold anything of value. Not able to actually go into Bumper Cave to get the item, but the information is always valuable.
They say knowledge is power, so knowing knowing where you need to go is always helpful. And just 20 rupees on the Bumper Cave ledge, so no, not going to need to go there today.
Jade picking up her boots. Let's see where her next play is. She's going to also do East Dark Death Mountain in order to clear out Hookshot Cave. That's a good 6 items for her if she does that, or is she going to go somewhere else?
Indeed. TaterShaman now checking the back cave of the graveyard. And like you said, probably going to check King's Tomb immediately afterwards. Let's see what this cave has to offer. And it's just another piece of heart.
Yeah, we're late enough in and with enough hearts right now that we're going to start seeing hearts getting skipped.
More than likely. But we'll see what the King's Tomb has to offer. I've seen King's Tomb be 50-50 when it comes to items, so it's always a good idea to check this one when you can.
Now, saving the Dark World portal here generally points to a desire to go see what Quakefish has. We'll see if there's a trip made over east across the river. I don't know if you can do that with the hookshot alone. I know you can do it with just flippers, but we'll see what this Dark World portal is going to get us here.
Oop, missed the mirrored in the wrong spot there. Got caught by the bush. There we go.
Yeah, I might have just realized couldn't get across that river. Let's go somewhere else with the flute.
Looks like he's going to set up for fake flippers here, so maybe he'll do the hobo check this time, because we didn't see Sailor Jade check that earlier.
Now, the way fake flippers works, you're looking to get to 1 pixel right before the screen transition. That bomb will put you there automatically. It's a little bit slower to do that, but it is a guaranteed way. And then if you're swimming as you change frames, as you screen transition, the game will believe that you have flippers and allow you to swim.
Yeah, indeed. And both players skipping Hobo and Island, which is really weird, actually. I don't see a lot of runners do that. They usually at least check that on the way. So that's kind of interesting to see that play.
It's tough to fake flippers from Hobo, and it is still a sequence break. Whereas Zora is not a sequence break, and so it's for efficiency that you want to fake flipper up here for those 2 chests in the waterfall. We might see later, once flippers are required, a check 1 Hobo. It's going to be much, much faster to go there from Link's house and just directly swim than it is to go all the way from the bottom of Lake Hylia.
Fair point. And of course, we're not going to find much here for Zora, so this is not going to pay off much for him. Meanwhile, Sailor Jade heading to the library. We know there's a sword up there, so and they are going to be getting Master Sword.
We are running out of locations to check here, so we might see a play on Aga. We do have everything we need to beat Aga, and head right into possibly Pod. Palace of Darkness holding 5 items that are non-dungeon items, but a lot of those are going to be locked behind hammer, bow, or both.
Indeed. Now it looks like Sailor Jade probably always going to check either Skull Woods or, again, Village of Outcasts. We have not seen anyone check the village, and there's a lot of items there. Plus, it is a crystal dungeon, so it wouldn't be bad to check that as well.
Yeah, you guaranteed 3 items in there.
Meanwhile, TaterShaman, remembering Sick Kid, gonna check that out, finally get their 20 rupees out of it.
Bottle on Zora Ledge, likely a friendly reminder as far as that goes.
And TaterShaman also heading to the library to get their sword, now that they're in the area, like, oh yeah, I gotta get that sword while I'm here.
Jade, skipping the first chest, the reason to do this is opening that first chest opens up all those holes in the ground, making that room a little bit more difficult to navigate. So getting this chest. Now the disadvantage is if you pick up a small key in either of these chests, you really want to continue east. But she is going to go check that extra chest that has a guaranteed small key in it, and then immediately spend that extra key.
Meanwhile, TaterShaman making the play, heading to the desert now. Actually, gonna probably check the Mired Shack. There's 2 items in there, plus there's also Checkerboard Cave, and because they have the mirror, they could enter Desert Palace from here.
You're guaranteed to be able to clear Desert Palace with both the boots and a fire source. The information from knowing the Mire medallion is invaluable, obviously. So I think this is a fantastic routing decision.
Oh, and there's the bow!
And it just got even better. That should open up Eastern and a significant portion of Palace of Darkness once Tater heads over there.
Yeah, definitely a smart play there by TaterShaman. So very, probably happy to see that bow, especially at this point in the race, because they were starting to run out of options. Let's see what the Checkerboard Cave has to offer.
Jay taking the conventional route into the big chest in Skull Woods.
And just a arrow upgrade inside Checkerboard. And it looks like he's probably heading off to Eastern at this point. It doesn't feel like doing Desert Palace, since, again, it is a pendant dungeon, and it's looking less and less like we're going to need to do a pedestal run.
Still no way into the Dark World at this point, near the Eastern Palace area. But clearing out Eastern, definitely a good play.
Now, we know there's not many items in Eastern Palace, but remember, we did not see what the Armos Knights had, so they could have something big here, and being able to clear it in one go will pay off big if they do.
Jade also taking the ice rods to the mummies here.
Yeah, the Gibdos, as they're called.
Ah, yes. Gonna have a different name for everything.
Yes, that's a weird thing about the Legend of Zelda franchise as a whole, is nothing is named conventionally, as far as I know. Everything has weird names to them, except for maybe the rats.
You have Keese instead of bats, you have Gibdo instead of mummy, but on the other hand, what should we call the eyeball in Ice Palace? Oh, we'll call him Cold Stare. So, some creative naming in some places, some not so much in others.
So it looks like, since we're not seeing much diversions here, or much that we haven't already seen, I'm going to take this opportunity to remind you guys, if you're enjoying this stream so far, make sure you give both Sailor Jade and TaterShaman a follow on Twitch. And of course, follow to my co-commentator Walking Eye, as well as our tracker Flaffykins and our restreamer Alvy. All of them great people, so be sure to give them a follow.
And don't forget yourself there, Shades. Give this guy a follow. Entertaining as heck.
Thank you. You as well. Meanwhile, now back on track here, Sailor Jade looks like going to be checking Village of Outcasts at this point. A lot of good items here, potential items here. So always a good idea to check this. Starting with the chest game. And we've got 50 rupees and another heart container.
Extremely healthy seed, especially with these runners only having 1 crystal each.
Not to mention no mail upgrades yet, so they could use all the health since they don't have much protection otherwise.
Taters makes his way through the dark room as Sailor Jade picks up 50 rupees in the bombable hut. We got one more item here in the Village of Outcasts before Thieves Town becomes an option. Thieves Town, of course, having 4 items. 3 of those items will be guaranteed accessible without the hammer. We'll see whether the hammer ends up being necessary for this. A lot of runners do like to gamble and clear that dungeon without the hammer. So, could be an interesting, game-changing decision. Tater's not going for the damage boost off the little squid thing. Instead, just tanking it the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, normally you're supposed to destroy all the enemies in that room, and then the anti-fairies will split away so you can reach that button, but a lot of runners just tend to take a damage boost and just run right in there, so, but, yeah, so it depends on how you do it. So he's going to check the back end of Eastern Palace, head off to the Armos Knights, we'll see what they have to offer. Meanwhile, Sailor Jade not finding much here in Thieves Town so far, but, we're just getting started there, so who knows what we'll find along the way.
Ooh, Jade hitting that bunny beam right under the bridge here. We're going to be... Ooh, it's a fairy sprite. I hadn't seen that before.
Neither have I. Yeah, I haven't seen that one either. That's a new one for me, so very interesting. And there's the big key, so let's hope the big chest doesn't have anything. It's looking more and more like that might be the case. Bombos medallion. We haven't... that will be needed for Misery Mire, so that's going to come in handy later.
Tater heading into the Armos fight. We'll see if he can pull off the quick kill here. 32 arrows should be more than enough.
Yeah, trick with the Armos Knights is you want to give one of them a significant amount of damage and then finish off the rest, so that way when you get to that last one, you can just hit them like once or twice and you don't have to deal with this berserker form. But yeah. Ooh, Fire Rod!
A big progression item locked behind the Armos Knights.
Yeah, and Sailor Jade still doesn't have the bow yet, so they do not know that the Armos Knights are hiding the Fire Rod. That's going to cost them even more time. This seems to be the common thread here, is that TaterShaman seems to be finding these items at a relatively good pace, and Jade just keeps passing them up.
Well, we'll see. We still have a couple of items left to check. The hammer could still be somewhere here, so Sailor Jade certainly has plenty of opportunity to catch back up. TaterShaman looks, though, like he's going to head into Village of Outcasts to match Sailor Jade's progress.
Of course, Sailor Jade now setting up for the blind room. For those, and anyone who's played this game knows you have to bomb that hole to let the light in, so that when you bring the maiden into it, you'll reveal them to be actually blind in disguise. Spoilers for anyone who hasn't played this game before.
Just couldn't let the drama unfold, huh?
Never. This game is how old now? I'm pretty sure most people who are watching this stream have played this game and know that little secret.
Yeah, statute of limitation from a game from 1991. Definitely up at this point.
And indeed, yeah, TaterShaman checking the Village Outcast. Not going to be finding much out here, so probably going to be heading into Thieves Town pretty soon. Meanwhile, Sailor Jade getting ready to get to the maiden. I think there's going to be at least one non-dungeon item in the chest by the maiden, so we'll have to see what that has to hold.
Neither player going into this dungeon with the hammer means both are going to be locked out of the big chest.
And just another heart container. Again, like you said, very healthy seed thus far. But again, without the mail, having all that extra health is going to come in handy, considering what happens when you get to the later phases of blind.
And Jade picking up that magic refill, actually pretty relevant here with the Cane of Brian. Those beams at the end of the cane do damage blind, making this for a much easier fight if you can wait to pull it out until the second or third phase.
Indeed, indeed. And also, for those who don't know, with blind, it doesn't matter what sword you have. It takes 9 hits exactly from any sword. The only advantage that Jade has going into this is that with the Master Sword, the range is slightly longer than the Fighter Sword, so it'll make it a little bit easier to hit. So that'll help out here. And yeah, just tanking blind right now, having more than enough health. Just got to dodge those bullets. And there's the Cane of Burner, like we said. So this will be over. There we go. Very quick fight.
Yeah, getting that cane out, getting ready. Definitely always be aware of all the things you can do to a boss. My favorite glitch on blind has to be releasing a bee, and the bee and the head will actually chase each other off the screen. We'll see if Tater ends up making use of that, but I suspect the Kane O'Brien will be the preferred strategy.
Actually, I think Tater already used the bee because I don't see it on their tracker.
Oh, that's right. He did release it. That is tragic. The bee, not the most useful item in the game, but certainly does have applications.
And Sailor Jade now going to rescue the frog. Has everything they need to bring him back quickly. So very good idea to check that now. Plus, go and grab the purple chest on the way out.
And just as the frog is following Jade, we're going to remind you once again to follow these runners. Oh man, I've been sitting on that one for a while. How was it?
Very nice, very nice.
No, my wife's giving me the thumbs down.
I'm just grateful my wife's not here right now.
Well, we'll see what we're paying 10 rupees for the breadsmiths for. 50 rupees. A good deal, much better than the one Zora usually has, but still not what our runners want to see at this time.
Nope, and indeed, like I said, Jade grabbing the purple chest, going to drop that off with the thief over in the desert. So that'll pay off. Plus, probably stopping along in the dark grove to see what Stumpy has to offer.
Stumpy, another example of how naming in this game from the community, not always the most clever. Guy that lives on the stump, let's call him Stumpy. And Jade going to try to do the digging game with the purple chest left behind. This is not going to work, unfortunately. The digging game guy does not like that at all.
Yeah, makes sense on that one. So going to have to grab the purple chest again, drop that off, and come back here later. Unfortunately, we're going to waste a little bit of time, but at this point, it's not going to be enough to cost her more than it already has.
Thankfully, in the randomizer, this does not lock your game, and instead you do get that message from the dig game guy.
And Stumpy giving the red meringue here, not the preferred boomerang by our community, but nonetheless, still good to have, has its applications. And going to check this cave up here. Hopefully, Jade remembers to leave the chest behind again, because you can't go in here with the chest.
Much less of a time loss, though, if you forget to do that. And you'll notice the maiden on the right side of your screen for Tater is a little bit pale here. That's because the palette on the sprite you're using for the player character has different colors, and that actually affects other NPCs in the game, like the maiden, like the old woman in front of the chicken hut.
Yep, indeed on that one. And of course, I just say that, this particular maiden decided to bleach their hair this time around and didn't do a very good job of it, admittedly. But TaterShaman now getting into the blind fight. Let's see how he holds up. Pretty much in the same condition going into this fight. Has enough health, and of course has the cane ready to go, so he should have no trouble with this fight as well. So this should be over pretty quickly. Jade now warping over back to the thief over in the desert. Let's see what the thief has to offer in the chest. The hammer!
Now we know that Aghanim is not going to be required, definitely. We have the ability to clear out pod and desert at the same time, which would be a great efficiency gain for Jade. Let's see if she can capitalize on that now.
Yeah, definitely. Jade getting a chance to catch back up here with that. That's going to open up a lot of opportunities, and I think, yeah, folks, you know what time it is. We're heading to the hype cave. Get here. Let's see some hype in the chat.
Ooh, Flaffy pointing out that Jade does not yet have Bo, so we're not yet going to be able to get that efficiency. Where was Bo?
Bo was in the Meyer Shack.
So I'll have to get a flute over there at some point. Picking up blue mail, getting a new hair dye.
But other than that, not too much hype from the hype cave. Not super hype, at least. But better than nothing, I guess. A little extra protection, always a good thing.
And Tater's right on her tail, bringing that frog back now. Going to get the purple chest shortly thereafter, one would have to imagine.
Most likely on that one, so he'll be getting his hammer. And I think Jade is going to be heading back over to the digging game because, wants to make sure to check that. Digging game, not very lucrative more often than not, but again, this is Randomizer. You never know. It's always better to check it and get disappointed than to leave it behind and forget that important item.
It's tough when you learn something like that on the fly that you can't leave the purple chest one screen behind and do the digging game. It really messes with your head, screwing up the routing. Tater forgetting the purple chest behind him.
Ooh,
Guess he's going to do that later. With that holding the hammer, that's going to come back to bite him.
Yeah, that's going to haunt him later.
Although if he's just doing the digging game now, he might be learning from Jade's mistake here and doing the digging game and then heading immediately back for the purple chest. So we'll see how he routes this.
Only a piece of heart from the digging game, but quite a few digs to get to it, so unfortunately not paying off much for him.
And Jade having a little bit of trouble getting out with the mirror here. It won't actually let you use any Y items except for the shovel while you're still in the timer.
Yep, so where are they going to go here? It looks like they're heading south. Maybe checking... going to the Dark World from there. Interesting play on that one. What's her strategy?
I mean, there's not a lot left in this area. We could be going directly east into the pod area, but we don't have the bow yet. So unfortunately, going to get blocked there. No flippers, so we can't really do anything as far as swamp goes. But there's not really any other place for her to go going through this portal.
Yeah, interesting route. Oh, nope, heading up. I think maybe Catfish?
Catfish and Pyramid certainly an option before heading into pod.
Not a bad idea. Again, she does not know where the bow is, where like we do. So probably thinking that's where the bow's hiding.
And Tater not having that purple chest to turn in here, just heading east towards Swamp Palace. Going to regret that move later when he finally does discover where the hammer was.
And only finding bombs on the pyramid, so that's definitely that was a bust. So yeah, probably going to be heading over to Catfish and see what they have to offer. I'm not too hyped for that one. I have a feeling that's not going to pay out in this run.
No, I mean, with 5 items sitting in Palace of Darkness, you have to imagine that that is the next place the Seed wants them to go.
TaterShaman now getting their blue mail. Interesting shade there for that particular sprite. But let's see what the Catfish has to offer tonight.
Community certainly has done a fantastic job on these sprites and their bunny forms. It's been absolutely fantastic to see the creativity people are able to express in such an old game, in such a small number of pixels as this tournament has gone on.
Yeah, there's up to close to 40 sprites available for anyone who wants to use this, and of course more on the way. Only $20 from the Catfish. Like I said, not looking good there. I think you're on the right track. I think once she gets the bow, pod's going to be the best place to check. Let's see.
With her heading back now, she might be going into pod now, thinking the bow has a chance to be in there or some other progression item. Unfortunately, without that bow, you're going to double dip, whereas Taters is not going to have to double dip, assuming he gets the hammer first. So what could be an efficiency gain might end up being an efficiency loss here. We'll see what happens.
Indeed. Actually, it looks like it's going to be heading over to maybe, the graveyard in Kingstown. Meanwhile, TaterShaman, remembering the purple chest now, he's going to be getting his hammer soon, and that's going to put him right on track.
And since he's already gotten the stuff in the Grove and south of the Grove, he's going to be able to mirror and flute over much, much faster than hauling it back twice. Nothing doing in Kingstown for Sailor Jade, as Tater dashes off without thinking of it.
Yep, there is. I believe there is a glitch where you can run with the purple chest if you take damage first, but unfortunately, TaterShaman forgetting that little trick. But there's the hammer for TaterShaman, and I pretty much little frustration slash there, but I think we know where he's going next.
Oh, I thought those were slashes of joy. I'm glad you're here to interpret the emotions. Pod immediately becoming the obvious play. Gotta hit that Dark World portal, though. Let's see where he goes instead.
I think he just
He's already done this. Okay.
Yeah, I think he just remembered. Oh, yeah, I already did Eastern. I need to go to Pod.
There's a lot going on. It's really, really difficult, especially in a tournament setting, to keep your composure 100% of the time. I'm certainly terrible at it. So these little mistakes, while they don't look great, they're still fine. Both runners are going to be susceptible to them. Call that one even with the early check on the digging game.
Indeed, that's probably the reason why I don't run this game competitively, admittedly, because I would probably be much worse at that than these runners are. So, yeah, little mistakes like that, it happens. We're only human, folks. But meanwhile, TaterShaman going through the maze now, and of course dealing with Kiki, the extortionist monkey, everyone's favorite money-grubbing monkey.
And we see Jade going over to grab the bow. This is going to be a fantastic move for her. She'll have an opportunity to catch back up here. And as far as not running competitively, this game is not required to be competitive. I mean, it's great that you're having a fun time with it. Commentary here, playing, just not in races. And if anybody in the chat wants to get interested into Randomizer, plenty of resources, plenty of helpful people out. Go to the Randomizer website. Come join us on Discord. We'll get you nice and set up. And no pressure.
Indeed. I can honestly say, as a relative newcomer, this is a very great community, very welcoming, very friendly. You will have no trouble getting involved in this, and I would highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. It really opens up this game into a new way. You know, hits your nostalgia while at the same time giving you something new with it. So I always would recommend. And thank you to our tracker Flaffykins for putting a link for anyone who wants to check it out. Check the chat. You can see a link to the randomizer in there, so you can join in as well.
So Tater with the first chest in pod being the big key. Gonna have to take a suboptimal route now. The rest of this dungeon is bow locked, so we're lucky that Jade managed to pick up that bow before heading in here. She's gonna check out Desert though, which is a pendant but can still hold 2 items, so we'll see if that ends up paying off.
TaterShaman now checking out our next chest here, getting some small keys. Gonna need those to get further into pod. Very, very helpful indeed.
Jade grabs the first item of 2 in Desert, just 20 rubies, so not great so far for this Desert gamble.
Yeah, more than likely, it looks like at this point the other items are going to be either near the vanilla big key location, or if not, it's going to be in the hands of Landmolus. So interesting there. TaterShaman using a boots glitch, minor boots glitch to jump over that gap. Check that last chest. I'm probably going to check the other side. There's 2 more chests over there for them to check out.
So 3 bombs were the other item in Desert for Jade, so thankfully she didn't lose too much time on that. It was a quick check. I don't think that's much of anything lost there. And heading over to 5 on the flute menu, gonna do that pod Eastern combo. Pick up some efficiency here, hopefully be able to catch back up.
Yeah, it's usually a good idea to do both these dungeons back to back if you can. Always, much quicker on that regard. So that might help Jade get a little chance to catch up here. Meanwhile, TaterShaman still not finding much here. Nothing but keys so far. I think we found all the keys in pod at this point. So that's going to mean the rest of the items are hiding further into pod.
The randomizer does prevent soft locks with keys, so it's not. It makes sure that you can't lock yourself out of ever being able to beat the game because you spent your keys in the wrong order. As a result, pod in particular tends to be front-loaded with keys with all the interesting items towards the back of the dungeon.
Yeah, one thing I like about the randomizers is that the developers have made it so that you can 100% this game no matter what. It's just a matter of where those items are located at is what's changed. But so if you haven't found everything, if you're still locked out of something, it just means you haven't found the item yet. You've missed a chest somewhere. And just more bombs there. Gonna check that other chest back there. Let's see what that one's hiding. Meanwhile, Jade's starting their play on pod. There's the compass.
Heading down into the dark rupee room now is Tater. 2 chests down here, followed by 3 in the dark maze. And then after that, we'll just have Helmasaur to beat.
And we've got the big red cane! Very nice to find that right about now. You're going to need that for Mizzy Ryer, and if necessary, for Turtle Rock. But again, that's a pendant dungeon, so they may not need that there. But for both Mizrameyer and Ganon's Tower, nice to have that here. Now heading into the dark maze to see what's hiding in those 3 chests.
Also, in the minds of these runners, after they pick up the red cane, they've got to be thinking, it's time to go to Misery Mire next. We know what the pendant is to open it. We know we can full clear. We know it's a crystal, so expect to see Misery Mire for both of these runners shortly after this.
Yep. And there's the bug net over there in the other part of the dark maze. Now we're going to check the big chest, see what that one's hiding. I think we found both we found the compass and the map, so this is going to be a non-dungeon item here. So let's see what it's hiding. Just $20.
So Helmosaur King still holding the last item. Gotta beat him anyway. So heading down into the basement now after mirroring back to the beginning. Ooh, Jade having a little trouble with those bumper enemies whose name
those
I don't
beetles.
remember.
I don't know what their actual names are myself, but at this point there is only one item away from go mode. They just need to get those flippers and they will be in go mode. So that's looking pretty good at this point.
Yeah, only an hour in, being one item away certainly speaks to how fast the seed has been.
Yeah, definitely a lot better than the last race I commentated. I commentated one last night where the boots were on the pedestal. It took them 2.5 hours to finally complete the game for our winning runner, and so this is a much faster seed as opposed to that one.
And if they do manage to find the flippers soon, they'll be able to do a go mode swamp and a go mode ice. Both of which are much, much faster than full clearing the dungeon. They're having a little bit of trouble with those mimics. Chooses to take them out with the sword, but gets through it and on to the next room.
Yeah, swamp especially is really good to clear in go mode, because then you don't have to worry about anything. And ice palace, like you said, is a little bit easier once you don't have to worry about full clearing it. But there's a couple chests to check along the way. You never know, you might find. We still haven't found silver arrows yet. We're still only on Master Sword, and there's still a couple other upgrades we can find. So it should be interesting to see what we find here before we get to that point.
Jade picking up her red cane, gotta be thinking Misery Mire now. And we have some people in the chat suggesting that this could still be a pedestal seed, and while it still could be, these runners are certainly among those hoping it is not.
Yes, like I said, you don't want, whenever it's a pedestal seed, it takes a lot longer to get through it. So, and when you're down to that last item, you definitely don't want that to be the pedestal item.
Tater's dispatching the last of the turtles in the turtle room. Gotta head up to the last hallway to fight the Helmosaur King.
Yeah, Helmosaur King, unfortunately, without the silvers, this could be a little bit harder, but not by much. With silvers, you can one-shot it once you get the mask off, but otherwise, it takes a few shots. But thankfully, they should be in good shape for that. So, TaterShaman now starting that fight, and we'll see how this plays out for him.
Yeah, with only 4.5 hearts, he does have to be a little careful here. The hammer is going to be able to do more damage once the mask comes off than the Master Sword, but those hitboxes are very, very difficult to time. Instead, just going for the sword slashes here.
Makes sense in that regard. I don't think I'd be able to hit it with the hammer, but TaterShaman having no trouble. Easy fight there with Helmosaur King. Let's see what he drops. And it's just a heart container.
We might end up collecting every single heart container at the rate we're going.
It's looking that way, isn't it? Well, so yeah, I think at this point, Misery Mire is looking pretty good right about now. Let's see what TaterShaman decides to do.
Jade picking up the hearts before heading into the basement for her Helmosaur fight. Tater mirroring out, presumably going to pull out the flute. We'll see if he goes somewhere.
And sure enough, he's heading over to Mire. He's getting that done and out of the way. Now, bear in mind, Sailor Jade still has to finish Eastern, so they'll probably run that before they get to Mire, but they're not too far behind at least.
So with our runners not yet in go mode, we can say a couple of things about general routing. Mire is a dungeon where there's only 2 items in comparison to Ice Palace's 3. But Ice Palace, the game, even though you can get there via fake flippers, the game will say, as far as the logic goes, that you will have to have the flippers. So we know flippers cannot be in ice at this point. In addition to that, the big key is something you have to really kind of hunt for in Misery Mire. So not being able to skip chests, not necessarily going to save you any time at all in this dungeon, which is what makes it such a good play right now.
Yeah, trying to go mode Misery Mire is not an easy thing, so it's probably better just to go ahead and full clear it anyway. And so it would be much, hopefully they find the flippers here and you can go straight into go mode. Otherwise, the search will continue. We'll see how this plays out as TaterShaman now starts their run on Misery Mire. And meanwhile, Sailor Jade doing their fight with Helmasar King has a lot more health going into it, so it should be in much better shape. And let's see what our first major chest here has for TaterShaman, and it's just a small key.
And Jade showing off strats without the poking out with the sword. It is a little bit faster to do it without poking the sword out, but much more difficult. So props to her for being able to pull off that strategy. Down goes Helmasor King. I'm not sure she got hit at all there. That was a fantastic.
I think she got one hit, but that's about it for her. Still a really good fight regardless. TaterShaman still not finding anything yet. Nothing but keys so far. That's one of the things about this dungeon. A lot of keys. So there's a few items, but there's also a lot of keys hiding in this one.
The vanilla big key chest in this dungeon is particularly difficult to get to. A lot of runners have been trying to skip it or save it for last, even after fighting the boss. We'll see what the decision here is from Taters, the routing choice, as Sailor Jade heads into Eastern to clear that out. At this point, I'm not sure if there's anything that Jade has done that Taters has not. Which would put Tater firmly, say, 4 or 5 minutes ahead.
Indeed, but there's one mistake or some proper execution, and Jade could still catch up. So don't count them out yet. As TaterShaman now checking up here in this chest, let's see what this holds. There's the big key.
Absolutely, and with if flippers are not in here for whatever reason, it's going to be a route divergence for both of these runners.
TaterShaman opting to go for a different, an unusual strategy for this case. Normally, what I see a lot of runners do is try to use the fire rod as they're pushing the bottom blocks in order to make it a little bit quicker, but he's opting to do it the normal way with the lanterns at the top and then using the fire rod at the bottom. A little bit longer, but a little bit safer if you don't know what you're doing with the blocks.
Also, a little bit more, you end up with a little bit more magic, so you save a little bit of magic here. I don't know if he's thinking about using that blue cane. Without silvers, the boss fight in this dungeon can be a bit of a pain. So saving that magic for the end boss, not a bad strategy.
Dude, finding compass and vanilla big key spot. And our chat saying, for maximum trolling, book on pedestal, mushroom powder on either or Bombo's tablets, which finally leads to the flippers. That is some serious trollage from our chat here.
I guess that dream is still alive, but it is not a dream shared by anybody outside of the chat.
Pretty much.
Jade heading into the Armos fight. We'll see if she can pull off as beautiful as a kill as she did to the Helmasor King.
And Tempered Sword for TaterShaman. Probably nice to have that right about now. That'll make Venturous a little bit easier, especially since, like we said, we don't have silvers yet. So a little bit extra damage is always nice.
Yeah, especially without that silvers, like you mentioned, going into the Ganon fight even, much more comfortable with that Tempered Sword than you would be with Master Sword and no silvers. So with the boss holding the last item, Taters will head down over the bridge and onto the dark basement.
Sailor Jade now finishing off the Armos Knights, getting their fire rod, and now heading into Misery Mire themselves. Again, only a few minutes behind, so that's going to give them a chance. If they work themselves correctly, they might be able to catch up, but it's going to be a little tricky given the way this dungeon has been playing so far.
Yeah, with the resources these runners have available to them, Vitreous could certainly prove to be a difficult fight. We have a route divergence after this, should Vitreous not drop the flippers. So we'll see. Lots can still happen here in Randomizer. Don't count Jade out of this yet.
Not by a long shot. Because, yeah, we've still got a couple pendant dungeons that haven't been fully cleared yet. They may still be holding items. And, of course, there's always the potential that Turtle Rock ends up having something with as many items as it holds. So there's a lot of chances for diversions here.
Shahasala still an option, with Desert Palace being the green pendant. Could go back in there immediately after this, especially with Taters not having cleared that out at all. Like you said, Turtle Rock has 5 items in it itself that are non-dungeon items, as well as access to Mimic Cave. So that's 6 items up there if you're feeling like that gamble is going to pay off for you. So lots of options for these runners. Search a lot of locations quickly.
Sailor Jade using the Bombos Medallion to clear through that room fast as TaterShaman enters the fight with Vitreous. Going for the Cane of Burnistrat's going to use the cane to give some invincibility and clear out these little eyeballs fast, so that they can put their focus on the main eyeball there in the center. Oh, watch out for that lightning. That lightning can hurt.
With only 3 hearts left, but there's only 1 eyeball left, so he should be okay here as long as he's careful. That eyeball does not want to pop out, though. There it goes. Not pulling out the bow here for this fight. Only 8 arrows needed to take down this boss, and generally you can push those all right in a row.
Yeah, it's usually a lot faster to use the bow on that, but going for the Tempered Sword strats instead, it's going to take a few extra hits, but he's not. But thankfully, Vitreous goes down without much more trouble. And Vitreous, what they holding? There's the Quake Medallion, not the one they're looking for, but you know, always nice to have a little extra damage.
Likely they're both thankful to not see the ether. That would certainly be a breadcrumb towards Turtle Rock getting full cleared.
Yeah, you don't want to see that, but that also means that the flippers are still out there somewhere, and they don't have the book, so we can't do a pedestal check to verify, because that would make it a little easier. If you know you have to do a pedestal run, it makes it a little easier to route that. But instead, TaterShaman going to go right into Desert Palace and probably full clear that, just to see what's hiding in here.
So we know we have 20 rupees and bombs in the chests in Desert Palace, but we do have a green pendant at the end, which can be turned in for an additional item. Jade elected not to pick that up. We'll see if Taters makes the same decision.
And while we're seeing very similar runs here, I'll take this opportunity to remind you that if you guys aren't following all of our channels, now might be a good time to start doing so. Not only Randomizer Manias 1 through 4, but our main channel, Speed Gaming 1 through 4, where the main tournament's going on. A lot of randomizer tournament action going on, as well as other speed runs. Definitely give all those channels a follow, and as well our runners and our the rest of our staff. My co-commentator Walking Eye, Flaffykins, our tracker, our restreamer Alvi, and like I said, our runners Sailor Jade and TaterShaman, and of course give me a follow as well. Though I actually go on YouTube, so that's where you can find me at.
Oh, you can give a YouTube URL. We'll allow it. I don't think Twitch is going to shut us off because of that.
I'll just stay to the trouble. I'm not going to make everyone work harder for that.
So Taters picks up his big key at about the same time as Jade picks up hers. We'll see where Taters is going to head now. Forgot the big chest. Going to go over pick up the 20 rupees. After that, though, he did come in the main entrance, so the mirror efficiency gained normally by going through Swamp is lost here. But he'll still find his way out just fine.
Yeah, it's not
pulling on that chest, overjoyed that he had those 20 rupees inside of it.
I'm sure he's just loving it right now. TaterShaman going to grab the 50 rupees on the ledge. Is he going to go into the back end of Desert Palace? It looks like he is, so he's going to go somewhere that Jade did not. Let's see if that actually pays off for him.
Shahasala, definitely a possibility to have flippers. Worst case, he could have Ether giving them access to Turtle Rock.
Probably not what he wants to see, but it's better than nothing, I guess. Also,
I don't know
apparently,
that it is better than nothing. I think they're hoping for Ether and Ganon's Tower at this point, avoiding Turtle Rock at all costs.
I would definitely be hoping for that as well. And I think Sailor Jade missed the big key chest, but thankfully I don't think there was anything there either, so I don't think it's a big loss for them.
No, she did pick up Tempered Sword already, and the boss had the final item of Quake. Even among top runners, there's still disagreement on the best way to route Misery Mire, so it's certainly a tricky one to route.
Yeah, it's a very maze-like dungeon, a lot of places to go, a lot of things to check. TaterShaman now starting the fight with Land Molus, opting to use the sword strats on this one. Oh, a combination of sword there. Very quick kill. Nope, practically zero cycle there on that, and just the map. But again, we've got that green pendant, so maybe Sir Haselo has something in store.
Absolutely textbook. These runners are really showing off what their practices are in them and why they are in this tournament. Jade is going to show off that fire rod block pushing trick that you mentioned earlier, getting through this cutscene a little bit quicker as a result.
Indeed, TaterShaman now looks like heading to Kakariko.
Gonna put off turning in that green pendant for a little while. Instead, gonna head up to Mothula, I'm guessing. There's nothing else really here that he hasn't gotten yet.
Yeah, gonna see what item they have. Maybe even set up in case he has to do a pedestal run. Oh no, he's heading down. Gonna be heading a different route here. Probably gonna be... Oh, where is he going?
Well, while we figure out where Taters is going, we'll check it back in on Jade. She's heading towards the boss. Gonna take this portal to that final room where that big key will be necessary. With 1.5 hearts, it's gonna be tough, especially in those dark rooms. Tater checking the hammer pegs. Of course, he wasn't able to do that when he was doing the purple chest because the purple chest, of course, had the hammer.
But not paying off for him, so let's see where he decides to go from there. Maybe, yeah, he's getting the fluid out. I forgot, he needs to be in Light World for that. Maybe he's going to make his play on Sir Hasela now that he's checked that out.
Ooh, Jade taking a bump from the Stalfos, going down to 1 heart. She's really going to be careful here. Does have a red potion in her inventory. Yeah, she's going to pull that out right now. Better to be safe than sorry, especially with all those hearts and a tough boss fight coming up.
And TaterShaman going to go check Agnes Cave because he didn't check that earlier, so not going to be happy with what he finds there. But still, again, you know, if you haven't checked it yet, best to get it out of the way.
The good news is, with all these red rupees flying around, Taters is now able to claim to all of his friends that he is 1,000-aire.
Yeah, all the money you can get, and there he gets a shovel, which we know is only going to lead to some more bombs in the grove, so not very helpful there. Though I'm willing to bet he's going to go check the grove now that he's got that shovel.
Now, unfortunately, all of these items are kind of one-off, out-of-the-way items. You know, shovel, you can go over and check 1. Green pendant, you go over to Shahasla, you check 1. No more real groups of items left until they find something like Ether or, indeed, Flippers. And the orange soldier glitch, always fun to see that.
Yeah, I've seen that once before. I guess that must be something to do with the custom sprites. That's the only thing I can think of that causes that, because I don't normally see that otherwise.
That just happens in Randomizer from time to time. I'm not sure if it's vanilla related or what, but that does happen with just the regular sprites. Jade with just enough magic to finish off all of those eyeballs, and then electing to use her arrows in order to poke the big eyeball to death.
Indeed, getting her Quake Medallion, and TaterShaman heading to Death Mountain. Is he going to make the play on Turtle Rock?
It's going to be tough without Ether, but we'll see. We'll see how he does here. Don't know that there's anything for him to do here. He does attempt to get this spin speed going.
Yeah, but those
gives up on it.
Yeah, well, yeah, the Cabbage Truck's just trolling him on that, not letting him have that, because if you take damage, you lose that speed. Jade now doing the map check, trying to figure out what they're going to do next.
fluting away here. We'll see if Jade ends up going also to Kakariko. Probably thinking about those hammer pegs just the same as Taters did.
Meanwhile, Tater checking Spike Cave. Now that they got the hammer, we can check that. He's going to use the hook shot to get through as quickly as they can. Probably going to cane a burner once they get close to the end. Well, then again, he might... Yep, there he is, getting the cane out. Want to make sure you have that ready.
You do want to use your hearts. Generally, players are going to save and quit at the very end of this. And while hearts do get replenished on a save and quit, magic does not. So you want to save your magic for later. Sailor Jade, remembering she left something in Thieves Town because she didn't have the hammer when she went in. That is certainly a possibility. A very out-of-the-way item. But this is a very strong gamble. If it ends up being here, this could be something where Taters just does not check this for a long time.
Yeah, it's a big game. Yeah, like I said, big gamble. But if it is the flippers, that puts Jade in go mode and will give them a significant advantage. And possibly gaining the lead finally after being behind for quite a while now. So let's see if this gamble pays off. Meanwhile, TaterShaman looks like going to be heading over to Sahasala finally.
Odd that he entered the Dark World first in order to do this, but definitely looks like that's the direction he's heading.
Yeah, that's definitely the play he's making, warping over to the light world. Oh, missing the spot. Got to be careful where you warp with that mirror, otherwise you're gonna end up getting warped back. So, gonna have to do it the right way. Jade now heading downstairs, gonna check that big chest and see what it holds.
And it looks like Tater's gonna reach his destination first. We'll see what.
Oh, there they are!
Oh my goodness, that puts Tater significantly ahead. He is in go mode, and he just has 2 very quick dungeons to finish up here.
Yeah, but Jade not getting too bad because they got the silvers. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, TaterShaman is in go mode!
Now, as we said before, still don't call Jade out because with those silvers, she could pick up a lot of time. It is very unlikely Taters is going to go back into Thieves Town to pick them up. So she'll have a much, much larger advantage over Taters during the Ganon fight.
Yep, Jade now heading, looks like they're probably going to go finish up Swamp Palace. Maybe they're thinking that, or not Swamp Palace, Skull Woods. TaterShaman setting up for Swamp Palace, because he's going to go through that real quickly. But yeah, Jade must think that, possibly thinking Pendant, or at least thinking that, Mothula has it. Not realizing that it's Desert Palace that she's got to do.
And unfortunately, with the desert already cleared out by Jade, she's not likely to go back there anytime soon until it's a last resort. So we'll see if she thinks of it a little sooner than that, or if we're going to get, the same item checks with the hammer pegs and Spike Cave that Taters did. Tater's also likely to check a couple chests on his way, hopeful to get silvers, although he skips that first bombable wall chest. So maybe he's just going right through, going to skip all the other chests.
It's highly doubtful he'll check the left side of Swamp Palace because there's really no need to be there. But like you said, he may decide to do so just to find those silvers. But we know where they are, and it's very unlikely he's going to go there to check those.
Jade going right to Mothula instead of checking the chests down below her there. It's a tough play, but we'll see if she can take care of these Gibdos and take care of Mothula. I don't believe Mothula has anything.
If it does, it won't be anything significant, that's for sure. We know where Jade needs to go, so we'll have to see how that plays out. And it looks like TaterShaman, he doesn't have the big key, so gonna grab a small key here. Not sure. He's got to check the bottom end of he's got to find that big key first before he can move on.
Does not need the big key in Swamp Palace. Swamp Palace, Skull Woods, 2 of the dungeons that do not require the big key directly. Instead, those dungeons are designed for you to pick up the vanilla items the Fire Rod in the case of Skull Woods, the Hook Shot in the case of Swamp Palace, in order to kind of indirectly require the big key for players.
Indeed, and Jade having not too difficult a time with Mothula, and just 20 rupees for the treble is definitely not what she was looking for there. Gets the red pendant, and now once again not sure where to go at this point.
Turtle Rock's not an option. You know it's not an Ice Palace. You know you can't get into Swamp Palace. It's got to be Desert at this point. Spike Cave and Hammer Peg still both available to her, but hopefully she goes and checks that green pendant first.
Meanwhile, TaterShaman getting a red bottle from over in Swamp Palace. Not much else thus far, but again, what else is left? I mean, we've got Ether, Cape, Powder, and Shields at this point.
Powder certainly always welcome. Those safeties in Ganon's Tower are plenty if you have the powder.
Sailor Jade heading back to Death Mountain. Probably going to check the Spike Cave like you said earlier. Not going to find much there, unfortunately.
The single rupee somehow more insulting than even the single arrow, especially spending all those resources in magic and hearts to get there.
Indeed. Meanwhile, TaterShaman taking on Argus now. Not going to have too much trouble thanks to having that Tempered Sword, so it should be a pretty quick fight here.
Down to 3 hearts, getting a little close to getting bodied there, but managed to pull off all those puffs.
That takes care of Argus, so that fight is over. Gets a heart container for his trouble, so he's going to have even more health going in. Just has to clear out Ice Palace, and he is ready to go.
Usually in a go mode Ice Palace, you're not going to get any items except for the boss item if you're capable to bomb jump. We'll see. Taters was certainly attempted the bomb jump earlier in Skull Woods. We'll see if he makes the one in Ice Palace. Ice Palace one generally a little bit easier, as Jade picks up a couple of safeties, gets rid of her B in favor of a blue potion.
At this point, probably the smart idea. You don't really need the B anymore. And it looks like TaterShaman's doing the same thing. Gonna use up one of his red potions to get some blues, so that way he's prepared.
You do have to have not full health in order to use up a red potion, so he's dumping that here. Gonna really spend all that money, no longer be a thousandaire, but instead be a safety man.
Not a bad idea. Again, and especially in this case, you're gonna need a lot of magic because there's a lot of magic items needed in Ice Palace. So I can understand that. And Jade making the play on Desert Palace, so it won't be long before Jade enters go mode.
Unfortunately, already a dungeon behind, likely to be 2 dungeons behind by the time she finishes. It's going to be tough to catch up, but those silvers are really huge and her ticket to getting back in this race.
TaterShaman now getting ready to enter Ice Palace. Again, in go mode, much easier, but it's still, Ice Palace is still a tricky dungeon. It's the one dungeon that a lot of players don't like doing, but doing in go mode will make it take a little bit of weight off of their back.
And as chat points out, you don't even necessarily need to do the bomb jump with the cane of Samaria. You can use that cane instead to push down that button where you normally need to solve the Ice Palace puzzle in order to push a block onto it.
Yeah, I remember when I played vanilla as a kid, I used to hate that block. It's like to the death of me. It never occurred to me I could just get the cane of Samaria in Misery Mire, where its vanilla location is, and then just use it there. But, thankfully we don't have that problem here.
And Jade, unable to really use the Fire Rod here, she ended up, she did it with the Silver Arrow, so that's going to be even faster. And actually executes that unbelievably perfectly, getting just as fast, if not faster, of a kill than Taters did. But and we'll have her magic refilled here. She used up a lot of her magic before her health during the Spike Cave check, but it not really mattering due to her skill with the Silver Arrows.
Indeed. And TaterShaman now getting through this double block room. One little trick that I've seen a lot of runners do is put a bomb right there in that corner, hopefully usually wanting to hit the crystal switch while blowing up the hole. And of course, using this little trick to get the Stalfos Knights together so that you can use only one bomb on them. Very well done. Into the conveyor belt room.
Yeah, we'll find out soon enough if he's going to attempt the bomb jump. Very interested to see that.
Indeed, I think that's what they're doing.
Yeah, with the blue switch up, there's not really a lot of other ways to get through this room.
And ladies and gentlemen, Sailor Jade getting the flippers now. They are in go mode! And I would say a couple frustration slashes there while waiting for the bird.
You don't think that's those slashes of joy? Man, I am bad at reading emotions.
Jade now working their way over to Ice Palace, so they're going to save Swamp for last, figuring they can clear that one a little bit quicker. And TaterShaman now getting through the ice duck room into the giant spike there. I always hated that thing.
It's tough. I mean, even trying to learn that hook shot invincibility frame trick for that room has been much more difficult than a lot of the top runners make it look. Tater spending some time to pick up some items here. If it's a quick check, you might as well.
Probably trying to see if he can find those silvers on the way. Again, he does not know that they are over in Thieves Town, so he's going to be probably looking for those.
Jade, on the other hand, able to skip everything, knows she has silvers, knows that she's going to have a much easier fight in Ganon. And she might even be thinking, yeah, I'm a little behind, but I know I have silvers, and Tater is very unlikely to have that.
Indeed, TaterShaman now. Again, this is the other dungeon that does not require the big key to get to the boss, so he's going to go right in and getting ready to fight Cold Stare.
Yeah, that bomb jump is really what's enabling him to skip that big key, which allows him to skip all of the chests. And Jade, with the perfectly thrown bomb, able to hit that crystal switch and get the floor down all at once. Also going to show up the skeleton bomb trick here. Ooh, just misses it, though.
Yeah, but makes up for it with a backup setup. Meanwhile, TaterShaman starting the fight with Cold Stare. Couldn't quite get the corner catch. If you do it quickly enough, you can get the 3 puffballs into that corner and just quick kill him. But instead, going to have to do it the hard way.
Making use of that splash damage on the fire rod, able to hit a couple of the puffs all at once with just a single shot.
And thankfully, with the Tempered Sword having not much trouble at all. And down goes Cold Stare, so that is the end of that. And TaterShaman will be making their way to Ganon's Tower. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys know what time it is. There's a little game. For those who are new, we do have a little game we play. There are 22 chests inside of Ganon's Tower. What number chest do you think has the big key in there?
Well, I'm certainly going to go with the bonk chest. Bonk chest is the torch item, where you have to bonk off. It's always a favorite of mine. Gives the runners a chance to get a quick way up to the interesting parts of Ganon's Tower.
I'm actually going to go Bob's chest on this one. I think that's where it's going to be heading this time.
So we are coming up, because we're going to Ganon's Tower, and there are multiple routes through the tower. We have, just go straight left side, just go straight right side, do a combination hybrid, often called the Dark Magician strategy. We do have some opportunity for Tater and Jade to diverge a little here, and even for Jade to pick up some time, doing something different, taking a little bit of a gamble. So again, she's not out of it with those silvers and that possibility for divergence. Definitely not out of this race.
It's not over until we get it done, folks. That's the way this works. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, Sailor Jade now starting their fight with Cold Stare. Meanwhile, TaterShaman working their way through the Super Bunny Cave on their way up to Ganon's Tower. This has been a very interesting race thus far. I've been enjoying what we've been seeing at this point.
Yeah, both of these racers really want this. Jade getting the puffs into the corner. Both of them probably a little more than frustrated at a tie in their previous race.
Yeah, they want to have a clear winner this time. That's the whole reason for this tiebreaker race. So hopefully they're hoping at this point one of them is ready to finish this.
3-1 would put Sailor Jade at the top of her group, where TaterShaman is fighting for his tournament life here.
Bear in mind, Sailor Jade still has to finish up Swamp Palace before they can move on to Ganon's Tower, so they are still ways behind. But again, with it being a very quick run, it won't take long for her to catch up. TaterShaman electing to start on the right side. If they find a small key, they might continue going right, but we'll see. And we've got... Well, there's our Aether Medallion! You called it earlier!
Well, both runners more than happy to avoid that Turtle Rock.
Definitely, but because there's no small key, gonna have to go left side. So let's see what's on the torch.
Unfortunately, that greatly reduces the chance of a divergence in this early Ganon Tower run. We get a shield on the bonk item, not of any interest to our runners.
But that also means that this day, Bob lives. So we'll be seeing Bob. For those that don't know, Bob is an anti-fairy that there's an odd glitch that if you do not pick up the item on the torch, the anti-fairy kind of glitches out its sprite. So yeah, we'll be seeing that a little bit later if we get to that point.
It was a bug introduced in an early version of the randomizer, but people fell in love with Bob, and thus they decided not to make an effort to patch it out.
And there's the big key. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That was chest number 7 was the big key. So if you got chest number 7 on your as your call, congratulations. I believe the common thing is that you've earned fellow commentator Herfy Durfy's love and affection for that.
And Flaffy actually does get it right. Congratulations, Flaffy.
Yeah, our tracker calling it there. Nicely done, sir. And yeah, he's pointing out this was the exact same spot as the race that he just previously streamed. Or tracked, I should say.
Jade flooding that initial area in Swamp, getting through this as Taters makes his way through the Mimic Room. This is always a room that gives a lot of runners trouble. Manipulating those Mimics is kind of tricky, but he does manage to get through it. Still has 4.5 hearts. Might have to stop in the refill room after this room, but still on a very good pace to close this race out.
Yeah, and thankfully with those 3 potions, he shouldn't have too much trouble getting through there. So, gonna get to the Ganon Ballroom, as I've heard it be called.
Ooh, takes a dive there, down to 1.5 hearts. Using those invisibility frames to go right through those cannonballs, and is in fact going to spend a couple of seconds to take these 2 fairies and that magic refill. Not
Makes
even needing
sense.
the magic refill.
Yeah, not even needing the magic. I got a bomb instead, but still needing the health. So, definitely helpful there.
With those potions, the Fire Rod a little bit more effective than the bow here, but only 8 arrows, and with 3 blue potions, Fire Rod is the weapon of choice for Taters.
Yeah, because he makes his way through the gauntlet now, a whole bunch of different rooms with a bunch of enemies that you have to kill to move on, so you got to get through them as quick as you can.
And the conveyor belts, the ice physics, and the random movements of the enemies, plus the BMOS everywhere, don't make this easy. Making an extra effort to pick up that full magic refill so he doesn't have to use one of those potions quite yet. Can save it in case of emergency. Never know what can go wrong during a Ganon fight.
Yeah, especially since they still don't have the red meal. And because he didn't get that shield earlier, we won't be seeing Riot Shield, so he's going to need all the help he can get there. As we get through, we're getting close to starting off Land Molus 2. Going to use Sword Strats, it looks like, for this one.
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised. I expected to see Fire Rod strats here after such a well-executed Fire Rod strat with those blue potions ready to go. But going to take a little bit extra time here. Looks like this is the beginning of the 3rd cycle. Still hasn't downed any of the Landmo.
Well, you got one of them down now, so... But deciding, yes, enough of this. Gonna pull out the Fire Rod now.
Jade, with her 16th heart container, pulls her last crystal and starts her journey up Death Mountain.
TaterShaman prepping the cane now so they can get through this, the stall robes, as I call them, because they're not your standard whiz robes, at least not in sprite form. And of course, the laser room here.
Now this is the tough whiz robe room where you get all 4 of them at once. Misses the 1 cycle. Hopefully going to be able to get the 2 cycle with this. Ooh, looking at 3 cycle now. All of these are opportunities for Jade to catch up as she makes her way to the east side.
Now into the torch room. This one is always a little bit tricky because you got to time your torch lights so that you can get all of them in one go, and try to save that last one for just as you're outside the door and use the fire rod. So,
falling intentionally there to save a little bit of time on that rightmost torch.
Not the worst of strategies, but now it's going to
plenty of magic here. Not quite enough for the next room if he wants to use fire rod on all 4 of the torches, so he picks up the full magic refill. Knowledge of what's under pots, very, very helpful in Link to the Past Randomizer.
And of course, and it's going to opt to check the chest. There's the book. Little late for that.
And no silvers, much to his disappointment. We know those to be in Thieves' Town basement behind the big chest. And with no powder, not going to be able to take the full heart refill. We'll instead just grab the 1 and check this last chest. Another shield. Ganon's Tower insisting on making sure he has some kind of shield going into Moldorm 2.
Yep, with the tempered sword, it should be a little bit easier for him, but it's still Troll Dorm, so you never... Oh, never mind. He got it through him really quickly. Will he check the validation chest?
Without silvers, I would certainly be checking the validation chest. I don't know many runners who would skip it at this point.
Yeah, and
just
he doesn't
10 arrows. No.
And in case you're wondering, it's called the validation chest because it's the final chest of the game that you're going to be able to check before fighting Aghanim 2 and, of course, Ganon himself. So the run is validated for TaterShaman as Sailor Jade begins their run in Ganon's Tower, opting to go immediately to the left side, which will give them a little extra time since that is where the big key is hiding.
Did check those right 2 chests first. Also not interested in the shield. So not any time gained here. But we still have, with this Aga 2 fight and the Ganon fight, that has to be silverless. We still have some opportunities here.
Nice triple there from TaterShaman. Should be just about finished up here. Probably one more good hit should do it. And it looks like this will probably be it right here. There we go. Aga 2 is down. And TaterShaman is on his way to the final fight with the big pig himself.
4 hearts and blue mail. We'll see if he ends up going to get that fairy refill in the tree down south of the pyramid, or if he just goes right in. Maybe takes an immediate death to refill his hearts. Maybe uses cane strats or cape strats now that he has that item. Lots of options here. Maybe just pops a potion immediately.
Yeah, he's pretty geared up to go here going into this fight. Yeah, he's going right in. He figures he can handle it, or at least he's prepared.
And Jade with her key goes and attempts to climb Ganon's Tower, starting with these mimics. Grabbing onto the wall to manipulate them, much easier than trying to do the sword slashes, but a little bit slower.
TaterShaman's thinking for a minute, decides to go with the cape strat, make itself a little easier, buy him some time, saves his potions for when he runs out of magic, which won't take long now because he doesn't have half magic, so yep, going to pull that out.
With 1 heart and no magic, it's hard to get much more efficient usage out of your blue potions. Using the hookshot and invisibility frames to avoid those fire bats. Looks like he's going to 2-cycle Ganon on phase 2 here. Taking a little hit from the fire bats on the way by.
Yeah, those fire bats do quite a bit of damage. Looks like he's going to opt to use his second potion here to make sure he's prepped up for the next phase.
And Jade skipping the safety room, going right up into Gauntlet. Really solid Gauntlet 1.
Indeed, not bad at all. TaterShaman now on phase 4 of Ganon. This is where it comes down. This is where it starts to get tricky because now, as you can see, the floor is opening up. So there's a chance that he could get knocked off if Ganon decides to give him a nice hug. And he's now finding out that the silvers were in Thieves Town. He's probably thinking, why did I miss that one chest?
Getting the torch glitch, making sure that the torches, only one torch goes out, really a big asset in this silverless fight.
Yeah, if you don't have silvers, you have to use spin strats to hit Ganon, and you have to hit him just as he's teleporting to damage him. It's a lot trickier, but it can be done if you know what you're doing.
Only one hit so far after 2 torch lettings. Switching to the fire rod now for a little bit faster, but it's going to use a lot more magic. These 12 hits total. Keeps getting hit by those fire bats, the trail left by the fire bats. Meanwhile, Jade, trying to repeat her success with Lambo 1, misses a couple of those silver shots, but cleans it up and just misses it.
Yeah, but it's getting close to the end. It's starting to look like at this point, unless TaterShaman gets knocked off by Ganon, it's going to be his game at this point.
He's only about a quarter of the way through this final phase, so still plenty of time for things to go wrong, but hopefully he can finish out with the strong pool of magic and a couple more hits on Ganon here. Realizing he's low on magic now, switching to the lamp to get that extra efficiency out of his magic pool.
Yeah, I think he still has 1 blue potion left, so he'll have enough magic, but if he runs out, that could get back. That could buy Sailor Jade the time they need to catch up.
Getting another successful hit in there. Out of magic. Last potion. Here we go. Jade lighting the torches, furiously trying to catch up.
Gotta be careful there. He almost got knocked off.
Yeah, that recoil from the sword is real. Tater being extra careful with his magic, making sure he really doesn't want to run out here.
Though Ganon is not making it easy. Torch keeps going out right as he's getting ready to make the hit, so that's costing him there.
And Jade able to skip all of these chests at the end, picking up a little bit of time, being a little bit more efficient than Tater was through here. Coming up on the Moldorm 2 fight now.
And there we go! TaterShaman has taken out Ganon. This fight is over. Tater finishing with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 52 minutes, and 20 seconds. GG TaterShaman.
Oh, that was a fantastic Ganon fight. He kept his cool. The trick to that fight without silvers is definitely patience, and he showed it there. An amazing run, especially after a tie against Sailor Jade earlier in this tournament. So we'll watch as Sailor Jade, very close, gives the GG in the IRC channel, heads up to the Agatu fight. It looks like she is going to finish this. Silver should not make it much of a problem for her.
And we're going to see if Tater's going to join us here in just a second. But yeah, great run there by TaterShaman. Well done.
Jade looks like the hits in on Aga. 6 hits total of those reflected balls back at him.
And it looks like Tater will be joining us here shortly, so we'll be able to talk to him about that run. And very quick fight for Sailor Jade. Nicely done. Moving on to Ganon.
Got to get that bonk count up. Haters, welcome. Good game, man.
Thank you.
It was very, very close there. You without silvers, Jade with silvers, coming down both in Ganon's tower at the same time. You were just a little bit ahead, having found the flippers a little bit earlier. Were you thinking you were ahead or behind when you got into go mode?
I wasn't sure because I guess the flippers being green pendant, I really didn't know. I was hoping I was ahead, but I didn't know. So I just kind of played it as fast as I could, but still looking for silvers.
Yeah,
And those 3 potions, the decision to buy those 3 potions, all 3 of them being necessary for you in the Ganon fight. How much did you appreciate that you actually took the time to do that?
Oh, I knew going up, I didn't want to get hung out to dry, so that's why I went ahead and bought the 3 potions and just had to go for it again. Which is funny because that's how the first game that I played with Jade ended up, was me without silvers, him with silvers, and very close.
Yeah, that worked out for you pretty well. I got to ask, how worried were you before you got that green pendant that you were going to have to do a pedestal run? Because it was looking that way for a while.
The thought definitely crossed my mind, and then seeing Turtle Rock being pendant, didn't want to go there, but I didn't have the ether. Yes, I did pick up ether eventually, but for the longest time I didn't have ether, so that would have been hard to do without that.
Yeah, it turns out it was in Ganon's tower the whole time, which nice little rib there. It's like, oh yeah, you could have used, you might have needed these earlier, but thank God that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Jade missing the torch glitch here, not nearly as important when you have silver arrows. No real need to conserve your magic.
And there
finishes with a double. Very nice.
Nicely done indeed. GG to Sailor Jade. Yeah, and they're saying the mirror kind of threw them off on that one. But
finishing with an official time of 1:55.46. So less than 4 minutes separating these 2 runners. Another close one. Well, that was incredibly entertaining for me to watch. I certainly hope that you had a good time playing it, because we had a great time watching you guys.
But yeah, it was definitely fun. I about died laughing when I saw that silvers were in Thieves Town, because I'm like, there's one chest that's hammer locked, and of course that was it.
Yeah, on her hunt for the flippers, Jade did go into Thieves Town trying to find that last item. And got the silvers. We thought that might have been an advantage, maybe coming in, but you ended up pulling pretty far ahead there.
Yeah, it was funny. You found the flippers almost at the exact same time that Jade found the silvers. It was almost in sync there, the way that turned out.
Yeah, I guess I was trying to find more overworld and trying to avoid going back into dungeons, because I also had an item on Moth that I hadn't picked up, or in the second part of Skull Woods, so that's what I was looking for.
Yeah, it was another slight loss for Jade. She did end up checking that as well. And it looks like Jade is going to join us, so hopefully we can get her in here shortly, get her thoughts on the race. While we're waiting for that, we're going to give you guys another reminder. Follow all of these runners. Make sure you follow them. Links are in chat. Give all the commentators a follow. Give everybody a follow. Anybody whose name you can see on this screen right now, give them a follow.
And Jade, welcome. Good game.
Good game. I made too many mistakes.
I mean, that's the name of the game.
Yep.
Finding the green pendant was so important. What were your thoughts as far as going into desert, just getting the 2 items, and then having to come back for that green pendant?
I figured since it was one of the split up dungeons, I was like, well, if I need to come back, then I'll just come back and only have to do the second half, so it wouldn't have cost me as much time. But I reversed desert and Skull Woods in my head.
Did you think you were ahead or behind at the point where you entered Go mode?
I figured I was behind.
It's tough. There were a lot of items right at the end there that were kind of out of the way. The basement item in Thieves Town, Mothula's item, the green pendant item, Spike Cave, hammer pegs. None of them were really clustered together anymore. So it was tough. It came down to you pulling the silvers at the same time that Tater pulled the flippers. So if those items had been reversed, this really could have easily gone the other way.
Yep, no tie this time.
Although it was funny, it came down to me doing silverless and you with silvers again.
Well, I gotta say, just as I said to Tater, this was an incredibly entertaining race to watch. So thank you guys for putting on a show for us. Any last thoughts before we get out of here?
Just GG Sailor. Do a good second game.
Yep, GG too, and I have a feeling we'll be doing a third.
Oh Lord, that'll be fun.
Yeah, grudge match incoming. But yeah, please make sure you give a follow to both of our runners, Sailor Jade and TaterShaman. Of course, give a follow to our tracker, Flaffykins, our restreamer, Alfie, and of course, my co-commentator, Walking Eye, as well as myself. Thank you guys so much. This has been a lot of fun.
All right, thank you all. And with that, we're out of here. Have a good night, all.
Rock on, guys.